the Goldstone thing is very clear example of how human rights is being betrayed from all parties. I mean, Israel first, when it was a resolution, they were against, and they refused to receive the Goldstone Mission, even though part of the investigations is in the Israeli soil, is Israeli victims, because they were also targeted, and where rockets were fired from Gaza there and should be subjected to investigations. Again, as I said, Israel will not accept the idea to have a president that it could be subjected to any sort of investigation. It's beyond investigations, and they have this feeling to be above the law because they feel that they are immune. When it comes to United Nations, for example, Security Council, we have this veto which provides political cover for atrocities and crimes that are committed in the territories. And if you go back to the history of the council, very clear, you can, an easy study can be conducted to see how the Americans voted against resolutions that would condemn Israel. I'm talking about the Security Council. The General Assembly is a completely different story. Europe, the Americans were pushing to, I mean, at the beginning, the Europeans were, I believe, where they want the investigation because it was scandalous not to have this. But then the recommendations within that was set out by Goldstone needs to be taken. I mean, it's to be implemented. Who can implement this? We're talking about a list of recommendations, convening of a conference for the high contracting parties, where to be high contracting parties of the Geneva Convention to address the war crimes and the conflict. Second, a fund to be established to compensate the victims, and this must be funded by Israel. Third, war criminals and governments should give a forum for in its courts can be used in case they have universal jurisdiction to sue Israeli war criminals and those kinds. So we're talking about very serious issues in this regard. Europe was reluctant and stopped pushing for the report when it was presented in the council in Geneva the second time. The first time I was in Geneva and I saw how the debate was, but the second time was very clear that there is no political will to proceed with the Goldstone, as if, especially with the peace process, and that was the illusion all the time, that forget about Goldstone now because this will jeopardize the peace process and the negotiations that will be established, as if justice contradicts with peace process. I don't see this link between peace and justice, as if justice and peace cannot match with each other. Peace can only be achieved if it was based on justice, and in our case is Goldstone report. The PA was clear that it was under direct pressure from the Americans, and they played this dirty game, the PA, and it was the first time that the victim would betray himself or herself, that the PA asked for the postponement of the voting, and postponed it for 6 months. Imagine this, 6 months. I mean, recently that the report, the committee or Israel should have another 6 months. So Israel say that we have conducted our investigations and here is the report. And the PA give Israel another extra 6 times, and they said we finished to conduct more investigations. It was more of betrayal of themselves. I think Goldstone was very much important to put the basis for justice, and it condemns and talks about crimes or potential crimes from the two sides, Israel as well as Hamas in Gaza, but mainly we're talking about Israel with the kind of crimes that were enlisted. And I think away from Goldstone, if the international community, if Europe wants to advocate justice and advocate the recommendations, they should not change the existing laws, nationally speaking, and to make it very difficult and complicated to bring an Israeli war criminal to its court, like the process that's going now in the UK. In Belgium they have changed, in other countries they have changed. So because of Israel, not because of Pinochet or others, but because there's a potential that Israeli war criminal might be brought to justice, then the whole law should be changed. So this is the problem. I think it's again playing with politics on the expense of the blood and justice and the misery of the victims.